So we've just completed question 1 from the first passage of Reading Comprehension drill set number 3 at lawhub.lsac.org. And if you've watched that video, you could see how we got to the highlighted sentences on the left-hand side in the passage to capture the main idea. So next we're going to move on to question 2. We've got the highlight tool ready, and we're going to identify the question task first. It reads, the passage suggests that the author would most likely agree with which one of the following statements about feminism during the period of Wharton's lifetime. So I need to capture the speaker first. So we need the suggestion about the author agree with which of the following statements about feminism. So we're going to just highlight about feminism here during the period of Wharton's lifetime. So on the exam, you may decide to skip over this question if you think you've got to go reread specifically. But this is kind of the main idea. So let's just read the highlighted sentences and gather what Wharton thinks about the subject of feminism overall if we can. So her focus was on the designer who must work within the confines of an existing house, producing a good design upon the background of a faulty and illogical structure. This theme of enclosure appears in her fiction as well, serving there as a metaphor for the multifarious constraints imposed by society and tradition. The metaphor of enclosure expressed her ambivalence toward a society that she perceived as both confining and at the same time providing needed structure. This preference is in keeping with her vehement rejection of those artists and movements that, on the surface at least, most represented change, and that called for, among other things, the abandonment of the closed forms of mainstream genres. Since the competing claims of traditional and individual autonomy constitute a recurrent theme in Wharton's short stories, form reflects content in this case by incorporating the same dialectic of enclosure. So we should understand that Wharton is basically in a position where, probably as it pertains to feminism, which we didn't actually read in those highlights, which is fine. We know that she was struggling against the society that we see in the bottom of the second paragraph that was confining but providing needed structure. And we had this idea that she was needing to represent change, but she didn't want to represent change at the expense of abandoning these closed forms. So we need to focus on these big picture things, and we're going to try not to reread and eliminate any answer choices that we can find clear reasons that make the choice wrong. And if we need to, we will only reread when we're down to a couple of options that might still be viable. So starting with choice A, feminism mainly aimed to change middle-class women's lives. Middle-class women, like Wharton's concerned about women overall and her place as a woman within a confined society that she doesn't want to blow up. So choice A, as soon as I see middle-class women's lives, I'm like, that's not it at all. Then choice B, feminism inspired a large number of women to pursue successful careers as writers. Well, we weren't talking about these women then going and following in Wharton's footsteps, for instance. So choice B, again, I don't even need to go hunt and peck for this. It should be rather readily not the right answer for that reason. Then choice C, feminism lost popularity because of its failure to make headway against the barriers to women's advancement. Failure? Wow. It didn't accomplish anything? Well, again, that's going to be a bit extreme. So we can eliminate choice C. And we'll just scroll down a hair to frame up everything as best we can, knowing that A, we know that we weren't discussing the middle class women's lives. Then choice D, feminism could take different forms while still remaining committed to the advancement of women. Well, this is a really nice and bland answer choice. This could take different forms. At the very least, I'm going, that's nice and open ended. And we know that Wharton's kind of conflicted and she has this ambivalence that we had in one of our highlighted sentences. So choice D might end up being our right answer, but I can see how we might not love it. And then choice E, feminism was based on the view that the key to women's advancement lay in eliminating the economic rather than the political obstacles confronting women. Now, again, there wasn't a direct comparison between economic versus political obstacles. But if I don't remember what exactly is in this passage regarding feminism and Wharton, now that I'm down to D&E, we've got to just go find where we talked about feminism. And hopefully we recall that was all in the second paragraph. And it says, and we can look for the term Wharton, the term feminist. We see, although her fiction dealt compassionately with the intricacies and tragedies of middle class women's lives, Wharton, unlike many feminists of her time, was pessimistic about the possibility of shattering the traditional barriers to women's advancement. Instead, she pursued a different but still feminist path. There's our proof that choice D is the right answer. And for choice E, again, there isn't a discussion about economic versus political obstacles in this paragraph. But the last thing you want to do is be hunting and pecking as you work through this type of problem on the exam. And be sure to like this video if you enjoyed the tips that it contains. Subscribe to our channel if you want to be notified when we have additional explanation videos released. And also take a look in the description below for links to our full sets of practice explanations from full prep tests, also available here at lawhub.lsac.org.